Great, we might kick off. Thanks to everybody who's joining us. Really appreciate the time. I suppose very quickly, just what we were planning to cover in the next maybe half hour or so is a high-level overview of Convene. You've probably seen it pop up a little bit around the university at this stage on various different initiatives. The Convene Enterprise Fellowship, which is what we're talking about today, which is the opportunity for staff in whether it's an academic school or a faculty or one of the professional services units or technical staff to get involved. It's a really structured way to get involved in Convene. Some ideas around the potential themes and opportunities and the kind of projects that we'd like to see come through. We have some of our Convene fellows from this cohort. We'll talk a little bit about their projects to date, and then the logistics around the application process, and then there'll be time at the end for questions and answers. We are recording this piece of it, but we'll stop it then once people start to ask questions and that. So you feel free to ask away. If you wouldn't mind maybe typing the question in the chat, we can either get back to you if we can answer it straight away. We'll do it here at the session. If not, we'll come back to you afterwards. So I suppose Convene, it means to come together for a purpose. That's really the dictionary definition of it. So what's our purpose? It really is about building a better interface between universities and enterprise. We're calling it a Velcro interface, where you've lots and lots of small interactions, frequent, low touch or light touch, low commitment, but all those interactions build up into a bigger, more inclusive and a stronger interface. I think if you stand back from it just right now, there's just this massive opportunity. It's a pivotal, once in a generation chance really to do things differently. We're just about to go back into the new way of working, on-site, hybrid, blended. Enterprise has gone through a massive change, and there's also this real imperative now to take urgent action for the climate and for the environment. You have seen the COP26 summit this week, absolutely pivotal that something comes out of that we start to turn the dial and move all of this around. So that's the purpose. That's what we're here to do. Convene itself is a collaboration between TU Dublin. We're leading it. University College Dublin, particularly the Innovation Academy, is the other partner in this. So you've this really interesting combination of sort of the traditional research intensive university with the new technological university and the different missions, and how does that play out in a big capital city. So that's a really interesting dynamic in all of this as well. It's a big project. It's 17.5 million euro. It's huge, really. There's a team of nearly 50 at this stage between UCD and ourselves. We have nearly 40 kind of founding enterprise partners, but we sort of did a head count there for a report this week, and we've engaged with 155 enterprises so far in the first year of the project. So very much that Velcro model in action, getting those interactions going. It's a 4-year project up until April 2025, with a view to mainstreaming as much of it as possible in the way we do business in TU Dublin to get that long-term benefit from it. How are we different? I mean, there's lots of really good initiatives around the university in various funding schemes and various spaces at the moment. There's a whole transformation of the university itself, which is ongoing at the moment, but Convene is very much around enterprise. It's really on the interface between the university and enterprise. I think we're different in a few ways in that we explicitly recognise the potential within enterprise itself for its own skills and talent development, and we're doing that through things like our link provider activity. That Velcro interface, light touch, frequent, lots of interactions at every level. It's not up to the CEO and the president to sign an MOU. There's lots of things we can do at student level, at lecturer level, in research groups, and it's enhancing that piece of it. And I think the other thing is that sort of sector-facing focus that we try to join the dots. If you're a pharma company, but it's a digitalization project you need help with, do you come to the School of Computer Science, or is it the School of Chemical Sciences, or do you go to Hothouse or whatever? It's trying to stitch a solution together to meet the enterprise needs. So that's kind of what we're really trying to do, that piece, that joined up thinking, work across the university, build the teams around the need and provide a solution, rather than maybe the traditional response, which might be kind of the traditional academic discipline trying to respond to things. Very importantly, what we don't do, we don't work independently of the faculties or the units. Convene itself doesn't deliver anything. It just enables the faculties, the schools, the professional services units to deliver better for themselves and for enterprise. It won't duplicate or compete with the innovation centres. Hothouse, Link and Synergy do a huge amount of very, very good work. We're trying to find a way and a niche of building bridges into those units, rather than trying to compete with what they do. And absolutely critically, we don't steal ideas or enterprise relationships or resources or staff. This is an enabler project. It's helping you with your idea, your school, your unit, your program, your students to develop your ideas and build your relationships. So that's an important piece in it. We're getting there in terms of our core team. This is us at the moment, all dickied up there for the launch. If you saw it, the Taoiseach launched Convene there about a month ago, and we all had to dress up in our glad rags and we got our photos taken. So that's what we look like at the moment. You probably recognise some of the faces there. It'll be getting bigger as we go along, and the fellowships programme is a really great way of bringing people into this team for 6 months and then back out into your home school with hopefully a much better network, a better idea, hopefully some funding, and basically a way of developing your idea further. So I suppose very high level in terms of Convene, what are we trying to achieve? It will be absolutely aligned to our strategic plan, and we've already mapped out how it can help and enable different parts of TU Dublin to achieve what it's trying to achieve. So things like, obviously the partnerships area is huge. Educational model, there's definitely some things we can contribute to there. The whole sustainability agenda is really big. Climate action, just working with enterprise, and there's lots and lots of ways we can contribute within the strategic plan. Sort of the core building blocks, or the core ideas behind Convene. I suppose the first one, which is led by Anne Green, you might know her from the School of Pharmaceutical Sciences. This idea of an enterprise faculty, it's a term that is causing a few problems in places, but basically if you stand back and think about it, there are a huge number of people out in enterprise that work with TU Dublin every year. They voluntarily give up their time. They come in as an external examiner or a guest lecturer, or maybe they mentor a student or work with us on projects. They come in for open days. We have this willing cadre of people that work with us every year, and we don't really do a whole lot with them. Maybe they get a lunch from us or we buy them coffee, whereas it's cultivating that a bit more. Can we do a value exchange model? If you come in and mentor a student for 12 weeks, over a semester, can we give you a micro credential that you want in return? So it's coming up with, calling this a thing and working with it, I think, and trying to ways to cultivate the TU Dublin enterprise faculty is one major component of what we're trying to do. You might have seen this go out this morning. Its second piece is around bringing enterprise into our undergraduate students and making their learning experience probably much closer to the real world if we can. Nora Cusson, originally from the hospitality school, has designed basically an innovation program for students. Teams of students from lots of different disciplines come together, maybe groups of 5 or 6. They work with an academic mentor. with an enterprise mentor and also work on an enterprise specified project over the course of a semester. So it's kind of an alternative to an internship or work placement. There's other stuff in that area around enterprise mentoring that's starting to bubble up as well. Accredited talent development is very much about working with enterprise itself. They have their own talent development programs. Any big company will have its own in-house programs. Some are accredited, some aren't. There's also kind of mini sectors that need competency frameworks for that sort of broader upskilling of a sector. We're working with Screen Ireland, for example, for the film sector in the country, you know, obviously quite a niche training area, trying to get that accredited. Other places, you know, we've had proposals around Meat Technology Ireland, another kind of subsector, you know, and we're working with a lot of partners in that place, and that's very much about the enterprise campus and, you know, part-time enterprise learners learning on the job, workplace learning. And then the final piece, big component, is around the curate and assess model, and this is really kind of a micro-credential framework, linking in very closely with the national framework that's being developed here. Also, this idea of reusing content that might be available through things like LinkedIn or Coursera or even the YouTubes out there. If there's good quality video content out there, how do you bring that in as part of your course in a sort of a safe and quality assured way? That should free you up then maybe to give more time to feedback or to assessment. We're also looking here at how do we capture the expertise that's in enterprise. So if you have your expert out there in enterprise, how do we bring that back into our modules and our micro-credentials? So they're the kind of four big components. Working with our partners in the Innovation Academy and UCD, interesting partnership, even though two universities but quite different. So we're quite complementary in lots of ways, and we're learning a lot from each other in that space, you know. So the fellowship program, this is our second intake, and we're hoping to start people, whoever comes through the process, in February of next year and run as part of semester 2 of this academic year. Very much aimed at staff who have an idea, whether it's in skills or innovation, might even be research around, very much focused on the enterprise need. That I think that's the critical point I'd like to get across today. This is start with the enterprise need or the sector need and work it back into your fellowship. It's not really about ideas we might have that may or may not resonate in enterprise. It's starting an enterprise and working it back in. Ideas that have the potential to be pan-university is really important. We don't want schools having a really, you know, specific discipline idea and then just working in it for 6 months and it goes straight back into the school and we never see them again. You know, we want people to come out, step out of that comfort zone, work across the university, find the like-minded people in the university and in enterprise, and go back into your school eventually with a much bigger idea and a community of practice around you. And then as part of that, then we have a kind of, Nora has designed a fabulous kind of innovation life cycle that steps people through the different phases of, okay, here's the idea, you know, what's the problem you're trying to solve, who are the stakeholders, who do you need to talk to, how do I mainstream this, how do I make sure that, you know, at the end of 6 months this will still live on in the school when I bring it back to my home place, you know. So basically the idea is somebody in the faculties or the VP functions, professional services, that have an idea come into our Enterprise Academy, and that's just a working title for the moment. That all has to be worked out as part of the OD process, but work on it for 6 months. We help you build the enterprise partnerships. We help you take you through that innovation life cycle. We find the network around the university, find the people you need to talk to, help you work on all of that, and then eventually you take that back in and you operationalize it and mainstream it in your home school is the plan. So I think we have Andrea on the call, who's one of our current enterprise fellows, if she wouldn't mind maybe talking to her experience so far. I know we're only halfway through it, you know.
Yeah, hi Deirdre, hi everybody. As Deirdre said, I'm one of the Convene Fellows. So my area in the project is on ethics in technology, which sits in the ICT fintech sector. So really the background as to how I became a Convene Fellow, really, for the last 2 years, I've been working on the Ethics for EU project, which is an Erasmus project where we lead with a number of European universities. And there's been a serious amount of research and events and resources developed within this Ethics for EU project. I've also been a program coordinator for the last 10 years or so. So I kind of felt that really, would help me with progressing with this fellowship. So what interested me most really actually when I read it was the input from industry. So I suppose as a program chairperson, my main interface with industry would be the external examiners, maybe guest speakers or something like that. But there never felt as if there was really time to progress with that, with our teaching load, etc. So a little bit more detail on my project. I am developing, hopefully, ethics, I suppose ethics modules, not even ethics, parts of modules will be, ethics will be put into them. And along with that, probably a teacher training module. So I'm kind of in the middle of it, as you probably can hear. So there's a lot of connecting with people, networking with people, which is absolutely fantastic, because this is what I don't get in my normal teaching day to day, week to week. So the enterprise need there really was, I suppose, all the ethics scandals in the technology sector over the last few years. So it's been really interesting over the last few weeks. I've started talking to industry and, quite different views across them on what people are actually doing with it. But I never would have had that time if I had my normal workload. I suppose my project fits into the curate and assess work package, and also fits in quite nicely to the sustainability theme, which is very much part of the Convene project. So since September, I've been working almost exclusively on this project. We have weekly sessions, and we also have a buddy system as the main support. I find with the weekly sessions every Wednesday, I come out reinvigorated. As Deirdre said, Nora is absolutely fantastic. It's very well structured. I think most of us came in having a good idea because we'd worked in the area or part of modules or whatever, but not really sure where we'd go with it. So it's very well scaffolded or supported as you move along. And, I'd come in on a Wednesday not really sure where I was going with it, and come out of it with loads of ideas. So much so last week with the week off, and I really missed it. I'm looking forward to tomorrow to try and get going on some stuff again. It surprised me in general how much people are willing to give their time both in and out of the university. And again, I'll say it again, I've never had that time to do it or follow up. And, the amount of information and knowledge that people will share. It also surprised me how many similar projects or initiatives that are going on in the university that you don't have time to explore unless, you're in something like this. So at the moment, I'm at the stage where I'm reaching out to industry, as I said. And again, it surprises me how much people, are sharing information, are referring me on to other people, and also how different their views are. And that's what I need to, gather together and see how am I going to, do the best possible for my school across the university, and also for enterprise. How is it going to go both ways? At times, I'd say I've been a bit overwhelmed by information, but we've the time to think about it and let it seep in and find where you want to be. It is probably the only time in my whole teaching career of 16 years in TU Dublin that I've had any time or space to really think about what I'm working on. It's probably the only time that I've really been able to network. It's not something I would have always been very comfortable about, but it is very comfortable when you're working on something full time. And I hope the connections that I've made, I'm sure the connections that I've made will help with my teaching career moving on. So I would definitely recommend applying for the fellowship if you have, a solid idea, something that you're really, really interested in. I think it's once in a career opportunity. Thanks.
Super, thanks, Andrea. Check us in the post. Thanks a million. Yeah, I suppose just in terms of, like we're recruiting now for the next cohort. And Andrea said, really, what are we looking for? What are we expecting in terms of what to expect? That enterprise, again, I keep keep saying that over and over again, that's really what we're about, is just making those enterprise connections. We'll hopefully help you join the dots across the university and the enterprise ecosystems. And, you know, there's actually a really kind of cross-sectoral team from different perspectives now, different disciplines all coming together, you know, so there's a lot of innovation even in the team itself. Some coaching, there's people who've been through journeys before that can help with things, and just that general sort of, you know, what's happening out there, you know, like the entire workforce in Ireland has been disrupted, you know, so like all the policy documents to a large extent are out of date now, so there is a real agile piece about trying to find out what exactly is going on, and we're actually ahead of the curve for once. We're not responding to kind of HEA documents anymore because they're out of date to a large extent, you know. I suppose in terms of, sorry, might go on again there, William, sorry. Yeah, I suppose priority projects, just in terms of some of the projects that came through the last time, Graham is doing something on the bioeconomy. Lorraine from Tala is doing a piece around mature learners and accreditation of their existing IT skills before they come in to do accredited programs. Andre, as you heard, was doing a piece around ethics and technology. Deirdre Ryan is doing a lovely piece around cultural intelligence in the workplace. You know, how do you work in a multicultural environment? And Maria is working on the new skills needed in the tourism and hospitality sector kind of post this massive COVID disruption, you know. So in general, I mean, what we're trying to find really are projects that help us with one of the work packages at Convene, you know, so that we're progressing. Maybe it's a new partnership for, you know, a company delivering skills. Maybe it's a link provider expansion. Maybe you like the look at the Sustainable Innovation for Enterprise program and you bring that back in as your work placement option in your own school. You might have ideas for micro-credentials that are needed. A big piece around the future work, I think, you know, that sort of hybrid working model. Can we bring new technologies like virtual reality, that immersive experience? Can we just do that hybrid where you've half your people in the room for a meeting and half at home, and how do you make sure that works in the same in a lecture environment, you know? So the mechanics of it, the email went out from HR on the 22nd. There's a full application. We have to go through the HR process on this, unfortunately, in one way, but it does force a rigor on it. So it is a formal application into the HR system for a secondment period is the way it works. There's a full application then needed through the core HR system, and allow a bit of time for that, because if you haven't done it before or recently, there's a bit of work involved in that. The closing date is next Monday at 12 p.m. and that is a hard cutoff. They won't, you know, again, it's a HR process, so 4 p.m. next Monday won't cut it with HR. We had that last time, and it's awful to say no to people because they missed the deadline. But again, we're just hamstrung on that stuff. So you need a CV within the application form. There's a short expression of interest, which is, you know, basically, why do you want to apply for it? How do you meet the criteria? And here's the bones of my project. This is what I'm thinking of doing for the period of the fellowship. And unlike the normal HR processes, the people would be scored on the project and the person. You know, normally an interview process is looking at the person only, but the project itself is part of the evaluation criteria. So just bear that in mind, that you know, you need a reasonably well, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just a good sense of your project and, you know, who will benefit from it. And again, that enterprise piece is really important. You need a letter of support from your school or your unit. That's really critical as well, because there's a pretty short turnaround on this, and if people are successful, they'll know before Christmas, and then their school or their unit needs to be able to release them from February onwards. We'll work with the school to get you backfilled, but it shouldn't come as a surprise to your boss in February that you want to do this or you've been successful. So you need that letter of support early on. And we have the option of offering either full-time or part-time. Part-time actually works for people because even in this cohort, people had maybe had a module that was always delivered in semester one and they didn't want to give it up and they wanted to hang on to that, you know, or they had just something in their normal role that they couldn't let go of, you know. So part-time, we'll work with you on that to come up with a solution that works, you know. So more information, we have a website, there's that email if you want to direct anything to it after the session, and if you have any questions, we can do our best to answer them. If not, we'll come back to you, you know. So William, I know you might be monitoring the chat there, and we'll do our best on any questions that have come in, you know.
Yeah, so if anyone does have any questions, you can just pop them on the chat and I can read them out or publish them. So.
And if not, if something pops up afterwards, just if you email the convene.centre email, that's probably the handiest because we can collate everything that comes in, then we won't miss anything and we can get back to you through that, you know.
No questions have come in yet, Deirdre.
No problem. Perfect. Sure, we'll make this available on the website, this session, and if you have any questions, maybe like kind of the formally through convenecentre.tudublin.ie, or you know, just, you know, I'm very happy to meet people as well to talk them through what might be involved. So so that's great. So thanks everybody for your time, and hopefully we'll see some applications come through between here and next Monday. So thanks a million.